Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everyone? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. Now, if you guys have been enjoying the content of this channel, take 1 second for me. Go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, guys. And if you are new and want to stay updated on some great Philly content, well, be sure to hit that subscribe. So today, I just want to talk to you guys about a few things. Just share a couple things that I've been watching and reading about over the last day or two. They pertain to the Philadelphia Eagles. The first one that we will discuss and take a look at is something that was, put out there by a former NFL player, an NFL Hall of Famer, one of my favorite running backs to watch growing up, playing Madden with him, every single year. And that is Ladainian Tomlinson. Ladainian Tomlinson, to me, is one of the most accomplished running backs. I wish he would have gotten a ring. I really enjoyed watching him. Obviously, wasn't a running back of my team growing up, but I always respected him. I'll never forget that season when he had like 28 rushing touchdowns, I think it was, almost 2,000 yards, and then came back the next season, had almost 1,500 yards, and put up like another 15 touchdowns. That was remarkable. One of the things I will remember as a young sports fan. But anyway, LD now works as an NFL analyst for NFL Network. So LD was on NFL's Total Access on a panel with two other men, of which are one, Kurt Warner, a former Hall of Fame quarterback. Obviously, we all know Kurt Warner. And the other was Steve Mariucci, who was a former head coach in the NFL. Now, these three were talking about the NFL, and they were talking about who they believe is the most underhyped team going into next season, 2020. Kurt Warner went with the Cleveland Browns. Steve Mariucci went with the Arizona Cardinals. And then it got to LD, and he picked the Philadelphia Eagles as the most underhyped team going into 2020. Now, as you can see on the screen right here, LD was quoted saying, "Remember last year, the Philadelphia Eagles had to win their last 4 games to get into the playoffs. So they won all their last 4 straight games, averaged almost 28 points a game, and yet everyone's talking about the Dallas Cowboys. But when you look at it, Carson Wentz last year was throwing to guys I don't even know. Guys like Greg Ward Jr. and guys like that. He has a slew of guys coming back. They have really built a track team at the wide receiver position. When you talk about D-Jax coming back, they drafted Jalen Reagor out of TCU, got Marquise Goodwin, and not to mention Alshon is coming back. I love what this team has done on offense." And then he went on to talk about the defense as well and said, "I think their defense is going to be better. They traded for Darius Slay. So this is a team nobody's really talking about, but they won their division last year. Philly is going to be scary." LD, I just want to say thank you, my guy. Thank you. I like it even more now. Not only did he talk up the Philadelphia Eagles, but he also talked about how the Cowboys are the ones always getting headlines, but the Eagles should be up there being talked about more, and I completely agree. Like I've said, this is going to be a dog race in the NFC East, but with the Philadelphia Eagles, the fact that we were able, people were talking about us going into a slight rebuild, but in reality, all we did, it didn't even take a year or two of downtime. We just got younger. We got faster. We got more playmakers. We got a whole bunch of help for Carson Wentz. And at the same time, we finally have a lockdown corner, and we again addressed our trenches, and we added a whole bunch of playmakers in the draft and in free agency, and this team has gotten a lot better and a lot younger at the same time. We've saved a lot of money, and I believe we're going to do some more things in order to help our cap situation as well. And overall, like LD said, man, the Eagles are not being talked about enough. I think we are going to be a formidable team. I don't know if I'm ready to say that we're going all the way to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, we still have to acquire some more pieces and upgrade a little more. We have time to do that. We have to see how these guys are going to develop and play out. But overall, I like how the Eagles are building this roster, and in an offseason where, the focus and the direction was kind of shifted off the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Howie and the front office, despite a couple questionable decisions, have made this team a lot better, and I think they're setting us up for the future years to come. So I really do like what LD said, and I agree. I think, it's always the same thing. Philly does not get the attention that we deserve, and it's okay. I'm fine with playing that underdog role. I'm fine with us wearing the dog masks, everyone counting us out, no one giving us, the spotlight that we should have. I'm fine with that because we seem to thrive in that role. Look at the last couple years. Look at what happened. The Eagles thrive when all attention is shifted off, man. Count us out. And speaking of a few years back, in 2017, the Eagles had Kobe Bean Bryant speak to the team, and may his soul rest in peace. We know Kobe was an Eagles fan, and having him come in to talk to the team, a guy with leadership like Kobe Bryant, was tremendous. And we saw how that season resulted. Us, with the underdog masks, going down the stretch, winning games, and it ended with us holding the Lombardi Trophy. So that was very, very special. And we had another guy talk to the team, and that was Phil Jackson, longtime NBA head coach, one of the best coaches, if not the best of all time. Great runs with the Chicago Bulls, the Lakers, and he's kind of been off the map for a couple years because of his last stint with the New York Knicks, which did not bode well at all. But, with things like the MJ documentary, which we just got done watching, we were able to see the ins and outs of how Phil Jackson ran a team and how good of a coach he was and how he embraced, that team mentality. And that's kind of what he translated to the Philadelphia Eagles. He spoke with them virtually, I'm guessing over a Zoom call, and he had some good things to say and really talked to the team as a whole, apparently, and even some of the lower guys who feel, that their role might not be as valuable, but just tried to give us some inspiration and hope. So whoever was able to pull that off, if it was Dougie or whoever, good job. And we have a couple quotes from Brandon Graham, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles defensive end, on what Phil had to say to the team. So as you can see right here, Brandon Graham was asked what words of advice were offered by Phil Jackson, and he says he just talked about how we preserved last year, and pretty much you got to have those moments where you stay in games. When things go wrong, you got to be able to keep the spirit up. He was talking about some of the guys that kind of went unnoticed on the team that kind of kept them together. Everybody has to know their role and enjoy their role, because if we're a team, everybody has a place and everyone has a job. Whatever job is issued to you, that's what you have to accept until things change, because injuries happen. All kinds of things happen, but how you handle yourself as a teammate is very important. I think that's going to translate to us real good, especially hearing it from him. And I agree with Brandon Graham as well and Phil Jackson. On that documentary, I saw how Phil Jackson really tried to incorporate, that whole, that one, not me, but us mentality. And even though he had the greatest player in the world, Michael Jordan, he never counted out anyone else. And he tried to stress that to MJ as well, that, you got to get these other guys involved. And I think that Phil Jackson speaking to the Eagles is really good. Obviously he doesn't know football probably, but just having that leadership, that experience, that kind of voice speaking to your players is good. And we saw that a couple years ago. Hopefully these guys listen to what Phil had to say, given, what he has been able to accomplish. And hopefully Doug was able to maybe take a couple pointers and tips away from Phil Jackson. But I just like it as a whole, having these different voices come in to speak to your locker room. Obviously, we've seen it done in the last couple years by other teams as well. But overall, I just like how things are flowing right now. Obviously, it's a tough time. We all have to stay together. Even the players, they have to develop that chemistry. And I think the Eagles are in, a good advantage of a position, given that they have the same system coming back. Only ones in the NFC East to have the same coach and the same system coming back again. But I really like both of what these guys had to say. You guys can let me know down below your thoughts. What do you think about the Eagles being the most underhyped team in the NFL going into 2020? What do you think about a veteran voice like Phil Jackson speaking to the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know all your guys' thoughts down below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.